We'll get started in just a minute. Thank you, everybody. All right, welcome. Hello, everybody. This is our Chance to Thrive event. Melissa, you want to mute everybody and then we'll unmute to come back up. Awesome. So this is a Chance to Thrive. A Chance to Thrive is a advocacy initiative that we put together with Thrive, Negotiation Works, Free Minds, Community Family Life Services, a host of other organizations. We want to destigmatize coming home from incarceration. A lot of people coming home have the experience of trying to get something, talking to someone, meeting someone new, getting a job, getting housing. You open up about your status and you can see that light behind someone's eyes change. All of a sudden try to treat you differently. What does this person want from me? What's the angle? What are they looking for? Do I have to be worried about my property or like renting or trusting to somebody? These events are to speak to that, to give our returning citizens a chance to talk about what it's like to come home, give people who don't have that experience of inside perspective, and to broaden our realities, and hopefully leave having a different outlook on things. So that's what Chance to Thrive is. Chance to Thrive, ACT, A-C-T. And let's introduce our two co-hosts. Melissa, you want to talk to us about Negotiation Works?
Great, thank you, Greg, and thank you all for joining today. My name is Melissa Reinberg. I'm the Executive Director of Negotiation Works. What we do at Negotiation Works is provide negotiation strategies programs for returning citizens, for people experiencing homelessness, and for other marginalized individuals in the community. The program participants use the negotiation strategies when they're advocating on their own behalf in a range of situations, from getting a doctor's appointment or access to services to all sorts of details of their employment, their job duties, their hours, their salaries. And they use negotiation strategies to work through conflicts and disagreements that come up in everyday life with family members, with roommates, with coworkers, with caseworkers, with housing providers, and the like. And we are so excited today to hear from the panelists as they share their successes and their challenges in working through life situations that they faced upon their release from incarceration. So thank you again for coming.
Hi, my name is David Schultz, and I am the Programs and Communications Coordinator from Negotiation Works. I'm also a returning citizen and a recent graduate of the Georgetown University Pivot Program. I'm excited for everyone to hear from our panelists today as they discuss their own personal journeys in the reentry process and how negotiations played a big role for self-advocacy and being able to obtain the necessary things in order to secure a safe and productive future for themselves. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Alicia, tell us about Thrive.
Well, Thrive is a 40-plus-year-old institution here in Washington, D.C., serving vulnerable communities and really helping people take next steps toward independence and self-sufficiency. We do that in a measured way. We have two levels of services. We start with emergency services, so folks can come in and take showers, do laundry, take care of basic needs that so many of us take for granted. And then we have step-up programs that are designed to engage folks in addressing the obstacles that are destabilizing them and helping to transition them into better circumstances. So we are excited to be offering this forum in conjunction with Negotiation Works and some of our other partners because we believe that returning citizens deserve a second chance. And this whole campaign is designed to help bring awareness to the challenges that returning citizens face, and hopefully to think of solutions so that folks really do get the second chance they deserve. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Alicia. And now let's introduce our two panelists. Robert, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. My name is Robert Davis. I'm 45 years old, and I work at University Legal Services, Disability Rights, DC. I'm a reentry advocate here, and we do so much stuff here, but we actually try to just focus on guys and girls who are returning citizens who have disabilities. We basically try to connect them before they come home, or either when they get home, to their mental health providers, and also basically just try to help them stay here, basically. Stay here. We provide all sorts of services. And actually, this is the most perfect job I could ever have. Sorry. I am also a returning citizen. Unfortunately, I was incarcerated at the age of 18 up until I was 39, which was 21 years straight. And I've been home 6 years now. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. And then Camelia, how about you?
Hi, I am Frida Finley, and I am a returning citizen as well. I've been home about 19 months now. I'm a recent graduate of the Georgetown Pivot Program. I am currently a senior one team ambassador at Deloitte consulting firm inside of their government and—
Camelia, it's a little hard to hear you. Can you speak up?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Am I speaking loud enough?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. So I will start all over. So I am Frida Finley, and I am a returning citizen. I've been home for about 19 months now. I am a recent graduate of the Georgetown Pivot Program. I am also a senior one team ambassador at Deloitte consulting firm in their government and public practice services in Roslyn. I also am the creator of You Got This, which is a website that is in development that is, it is designed to create a path for returning citizens to have a successful journey and to cut the recidivism rate in half by showing society that the only reason most people go back is for technical violations. And so I am so excited to be here. I used to do a lot of speaking earlier in the year, and then I took a break off to start focusing on my own career. And so this is the first time that I've spoken in a few months. So I'm really excited to be on this panel. I'm excited that Thrive has invited me out, as well as Negotiation Works, which I've had an opportunity to take their class in the past. And Melissa is amazing, and David is my best friend. So I'm so happy to be here today.
Awesome. Thank you, Camelia. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Melissa and David, for partnering with us on this. Let's dive right into it. So when we're talking about relationships after coming home and returning citizens, reaching out for jobs, for housing, starting up with new contacts in the neighborhood, we're really talking about trust. So I want to ask our audience to answer a few questions. We're going to put up a poll. 1, would you be less likely to trust someone if you knew they'd been to prison? Let's just level set. This is all anonymous, so feel free to answer as you would. And have you been, or do you know anybody who's been in prison yourself? Let's see where we're coming from. We'll give people about 30 more seconds to take it. Okay. Let's look at these results. So this is where we're starting this discussion. We know someone had been in prison, about half of us would be a little bit likely to trust somebody. Half of us wouldn't, but a lot of us have experience with the incarceration system, either through someone that we know or our own personal experience. So that's where we're starting this conversation. Now we can also do it at the end and see if anything has changed. But let's just start with questions. Coming home is tough for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that the rules are different. You know, you leave an extremely structured environment and then enter a very fluid community where a lot of the rules are unspoken, they don't exist, or are applied to you as a returning citizen as an exception. So let's just talk about what coming home feels like. Robert, let's start with you. Can you talk a little bit about the transition from incarceration to coming home? What was surprisingly difficult for you at first?
Okay. For me, transitioning from prison to home after 21 years was very difficult. I believe it was hard for me, not only for the regular reasons, but also because I left when I was so young. So I didn't have a foundation. I didn't know anything. So while I was away, all I soaked up, all I learned was prison, 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 prison. And then all of a sudden, bam, like, and I came back into the world and I did not know anything. So navigating Metro, using the phone. When I went to jail, there wasn't even the internet. So the phone, it was a blessing for a lot of people, but kind of sort of a curse when I came home to me. It was a lot of things. I'm trying to think of specific things though, but definitely navigating Metro, also talking to people. I was used to, I don't know, it was a mental thing. People talking at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a problem with speaking back because people of authority in jail, you do not speak back to. They talk to you, and then there's an action. You follow what they say or another action. It's not you're saying anything in return. So that was another big problem. When I came home, I'm viewing people of authority who are not of authority, but I don't know how to make that. And then I'm not asserting my own with situations. I'm going along with this and that. So coming home, it was very difficult. I think that I'm very lucky to have met free minds. They saved me. No, I'm not kidding. I wasn't a Free Minds member beforehand, before coming home. I didn't know about Free Minds, but I met them and they saved the day. Let's say that. I don't want to be long-winded, but they actually saved the day. They helped me.
All right, wait, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're gonna get there.
Okay. All right, I got you.
Camelia, let me toss the same question to you. You know, when you're coming home, what was that like, and what was surprisingly difficult for you at first?
So I have been in and out of the judicial system since I was 6, form or another. And what made this different coming home was because I had this determination that I was very uncomfortable with prison, and I was uncomfortable with living in that environment and that always being a part of my story. So when I came home, I had this determination in my mind that I was not going to go back to that place. And I was going to do anything I needed to do to not go back to that place. And I felt by me having that determination, everybody that I was going to encounter on this journey with me was going to support that determination that I had, and that they were going to help me get to the next level and the next level and the next level. And that was far from the case. What I realized was that the organizations that are out here to help are either underfunded and overworked, or underfunded and underemployed. And then you get a lot of people who, for them, that becomes a problem. And because it becomes a problem, it's reflected in the way that they interact with you as a returning citizen. So where I needed help and I was reaching out to individuals to give me help, these individuals kind of had that preset idea in their head. Okay, this is a criminal. She's always going to be a criminal. She's going to act and think and speak just like any other criminal, and I'm going to treat her as such. So I don't have time for it. And it was difficult. And so for me, I kind of had this preconceived notion that the more I tried and the more I succeeded in the things that I was doing, the more people were going to jump out there and help me. And that was very far from the truth. And I had to learn early on that this was my fight. This was a situation I created for myself. And although there were great people that helped me along the way, this was essentially a situation that I was going to have to get myself out of. And so I had to change my thinking in that manner.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that people who don't have experience with the incarceral system have this idea that you get out and there seems to be like, there's a path that you take. You go to the people, you do the work, you get a job, you find a place to stay, and there's just like a system that you progress down, like a road. And it's not like that. It's complicated. It's hard. We already talked a little about this in both of your stories. Robert, can you talk about some of the specific challenges that may come back home? Like what made getting your life back together more complicated? And specifically, if you want to talk about a specific situation that was hard to resolve, let's talk about that.
There are numerous instances where, just coming from where I came from, it seemed like it was just so much more difficult to get over hurdles. But I think one instance, after I was home for a couple years, I had a job at a Jose Bank. And what happened was, one morning my brother called me, and he had been in an accident. And so he asked me to pick him up or meet him at the accident scene. And I went and picked him up. And of course, his car was totaled. So he asked me, please take him to the rental car place so that his insurance company could get him a rental car. So I took him to the rental car place, and he didn't have a credit card. So he asked me, after trying, because he was trying to like give him $300 or something in cash. So they didn't accept it. So he asked me, hey, can he use my credit card? Now at the time, Capital One secured credit card. I gave the guys like $200, and that's the 200 limit that was on it. First credit card, but whatever the balance was, I had enough on it to get the car for him. So he used my credit card and he gave me the money. And so we went on for a couple days, and my brother wound up keeping the car, right? For whatever reason, he kept the car. The rental car place is calling me, right? They're saying, hey, where's the car? I'm calling my brother. I'm like, hey, you want to take the car back? They're actually starting to charge, because I can see, and it's getting denied. But there's still a bill now. So a few months go past. After he takes the car back, there's this large bill that he didn't pay. So the rental car place actually takes me to court. And they want their money. It's like $1,300. And I go to see Sosa and I say, I'm being forthcoming because I have to go to court. And I explain everything. And I'm like, it's not me, it's my brother, look, and he got in an accident. I just let him use my credit card. And my PO was like, you better make it go away, because if you don't, I'm going to have to violate you. And I'm like, violate me? I let him use my credit card, but to violate me, and it's things like that luckily I was able to find the money, pay the bill, because if not, I would have faced going back to prison.
Mhm.
And then who knows what the parole commission would have did, because they would have, you have a new charge. Okay, you're still on parole. So here's maybe a 2-year set off, a year set off. I was doing so good, and think, like, looking back, I could have been very hurt, but it's just because I was on parole. It was just because I was a returning citizen that I would have had that magnitude of repercussion.
Yeah, thank you. Camelia, how about you? Life is complicated when you come home. What was something that was difficult to resolve that you weren't expecting?
So just recently, I went through a situation with housing. So when I came home, I had nowhere to go. I was sitting in front of Union Station with $60 in my pocket in the sweatsuit that they had given me at the federal prison. And I was, lost, like just trying to figure out where I was going to live. I ended up living in the basement of this lady's house. That didn't work out. And then I kind of couch shopped for a while. And then I went to transition. And then from transition, I was able to move into a home with some really great people. They were my roommates, and I paid rent. And the time came where I was getting my 12-year-old back. He was coming back into my life full time, and I needed to find a place for him and I. So now I have this fabulous job with this world-renowned billion-dollar company. I have done this fantastic program at Georgetown. I'm on the fast track to, creating this website and actually being an entrepreneur. And I just kind of felt I have a choice where I want to live. And I know I don't want to go back into the same communities where they are still crime ridden, and I could chance me going back to prison. So I started putting in applications and signing up for various programs. And I got a letter I got an email saying that I was pre-approved for a really nice apartment in DC. And then a couple of weeks later, I got a letter from them, and the letter specifically said, you know, we are pulling our offer because your criminal background does not meet the requirements of our development. And that was like a blow to the gut. It's like society says, get yourself together. But in their quiet places, they're saying, just don't do it in our communities. Don't come and knock on our door to get our jobs. You know, don't show up at our schools to get an extra education, but you need to get your life together. And I kind of felt to myself, what does my criminal background have to do with me paying rent? If I can afford to pay rent, if I can afford to give you a security deposit, then I should be able to get an apartment. And the sad thing about all of that, as I'm trying to navigate through, okay, what next, right? They said no to me. What next? Do I have the ability to fight this? And when I tried to figure out how to fight this through like the legal system, there was no support in the legal system. In DC, their housing acts like literally has 3 pages of convictions that developers can use as a way to prevent individuals from getting apartments in their development. Everything from shoplifting on up to murder. So they can literally say any crime you've committed in DC is a reason that they don't want to give you an apartment. And so I actually ended up taking it to social media. I posted like a heartfelt message, and I was like, I have done everything right. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not asking you for anything that I have not worked for. I am not asking you for a handout. I am asking you for something that everybody on this Zoom call deserves: basic housing. I'm not asking you for anything special. I'm not asking you to work at the White House. I'm not asking you to be your president. I'm not asking you to sit on your Senate. I'm asking you to let me have an apartment that my son and I can be proud to call home, in a neighborhood where we don't have to hold our heads down when we walk past the drug dealers for fear that I might go back to like that same situation. That was all I was asking for. And for you to actually look at mistakes that I made in the past and say, I'm not going to give you that chance because you don't fit the criteria of what we want in our community, is very disappointing. In 2021, that's how we're still living. Is very disappointing. You know, fortunate enough for me, through connections, I was able to connect with someone and rent an apartment out from a gentleman who works with returning citizens. But again, at the end of the day, I should not have to continue to stay in this small community of returning citizens because the world says I'm not good enough. I've proven myself. I've proven myself. So if I want to live in Capitol Hill, I should be able to live in Capitol Hill. If I want to live in Georgetown, I should be able to live in Georgetown. As long as I can pay the rent, my background should have nothing at all to do with my housing. So that was pretty hard for me. So
yeah, thank you for sharing that. Robert and Camelia, you both have become really incredible self-advocates. Just continue to ask questions, not taking no for an answer, finding a creative solution to when one door closes, finding a way to get the housing that you want. But I imagine that's not, Robert, you talked about this a little bit, like coming out and not wanting to speak back to people in authority, because that's not how you've been conditioned, basically. I want to talk about free minds and the role negotiation works played in like helping you become the self-advocates that you are. But can you talk a little bit about just your attitude and perspective just being released, and what it was like not feeling like you had the tools to tackle on these challenges? Camelia or Robert, either one of you can go first on that.
Okay. In the beginning, when I came home, I needed a lot of encouragement because a lot of times I felt like I couldn't make it. I needed a very good support system around me so that I could be reminded that the goal can be achieved. There were a lot of times, it is just so easy for someone to say, "You're home now. Go get your life together." You know what I mean? That's like a short sentence, but it is so big. It is so monumental, coming home and just not even knowing where to begin. So I think that it was important to have that structured, maybe kind of support circle that were very positive feeding, because there are a lot of times I cried. I actually got a job at the MGM.
Mm-hmm.
I was hired, and then they did the background check, and guess what? And I cried because it was just opening. They were asking for like 3,000 positions. It had just opened. And I just was trying to, it was like a little restaurant in there. And I didn't want to do anything but clean up. And they hired me. The guy said, "Yeah, I could use you and I'll send you, your schedule and everything." And then when they did the background check, it was like, not working in here, not cleaning up this, not taking out this trash. So it hurt a lot. And I think that the support system around me helped me make it through that, because it was things like that kind of sort of, and I see guys around me going through that.
Right.
And then they may not have the support system that I have.
Let's talk about that support system. You say Free Minds saved your life. How did Free Minds help?
Well, those guys over there, I went in, they had an apprenticeship program that I attended and I also graduated from. And it was beautiful. They actually just, from ID to driver's license to, like I said, the interviews, they did, held my hand to the interview. After the interview, "Don't worry about it, Robert. Come on, we're gonna line you up some more." And even to helping me get my first job, it was Free Minds who said, "Hey, we know someone." And, they just made it much more easier for me. They showed me how to talk in our daily meetings. They said, "Well, don't say this, say that." So they helped me out so much in the beginning, and they were more like a family. So they were making it easy to lean on them when I had so much difficulty.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We'll open up for questions in just a minute. Camelia, I wanted to give you the same chance to talk about what it was like coming out, feeling like you didn't have the tools, and then what gave you those tools?
So definitely for me, it was everything that I involved myself in, and this village that I built around me, like the people that I chose to invite into my inner circle. Because one of the things that I found out early on is that I do have a choice. I have a choice of whose help I take. I have a choice of whose assistance I seek. I have a choice of whose advice I will take. I have a choice of what classes I'm going to take, like regardless of whether I've been in prison or not. My choices haven't been snatched from me. Like I still have the ability to advocate for myself and know what I need. And so in this journey, like building that, like it's like a building block, but slowly building this village around me, I've been able to do just that. And As when I was in the Pivot program is when I had the pleasure of meeting Melissa and her fabulous team during the time and taking negotiation works. And one of the things that we were taught in there was BATNA, which is just basically like the best alternative to negotiations, right? When the negotiations fall through at the table and no one can come to an agreement, like what is the best alternative? And one of the reasons why that stands out in my mind is because as a returning citizen, most of the answers from individuals when you're seeking services and help is usually, no, we can't, we don't have enough, we don't supply that service, or whatever the case is. And it's tools like that that says, okay, no isn't the final answer. And we can go back to the drawing board and we can come up with a common denominator that's going to get me to the goal that's in front of me. It doesn't have to be your way or the highway. It doesn't have to be my way or the highway, but we can actually come together and figure out this alternative solution to the problem, right? And what that does is it's teaching me to not give up, one, not rush things because they come in their own season, in their own time. And then it's teaching the other side to understand that everybody is not a con artist. Everybody doesn't have their hand out wanting you to feed them and take care of them. But there are actually people out here who want to work, want to do it the right way, want to get it together. And so you have to meet those people halfway. You have to meet those people where they are, and you have to be willing to put in the work. The other side has to be willing to put in the work as much as we have to put in the work to continue to change.
So one of our questions was, I think, exactly what you just talked about. How are your negotiation strategies different? Because you know you're going to be perceived differently because of your background. And so, basically what I hear you just said, you got to do some educating. You're going to have to do extra work because you're not going to get the easy answer right away. And you can't get discouraged because you're going to hear no more often than you should. Does that sound right? Robert, do you want to add anything to that?
Definitely. That is definitely the case. You have to kind of sort of condition yourself to know that you're going to come up against obstacles, and you have to know that that's not the end of the day. I have a caseload of maybe like 18 guys right now, and I tell my guys day in and day out, keep fighting, keep talking, continue to ask questions. Like, I never thought that I would be, I would have a caseload, I would have an office, guys, listen, this is unbelievable. I bring my clients in all the time. We can sit in here and eat noodles because that's all I ate in jail. Sorry. But look, and I'll show them and tell them, never stop believing, never stop trying, keep your foot on the gas. It doesn't matter what the other side thinks. They can think that you're a criminal. They can think, but guess what? Show them different. Show them different. Ask questions. Do not think that asking for help is just the end all. Continue to ask for help. Continue to ask for questions, because what comes with that is knowledge. And what I have, the knowledge that I have now, no one can take from me. No one.
That's awesome. So I have a good question about, were you ever hesitant or cautious about expanding your social circles? Just making friends, like having to meet someone new and then be afraid of them rejecting you because of your status.
Is that for me? Because definitely.
I was gonna say I'm a social butterfly, so like I don't have any problem whatsoever like making friends and stuff, and that can harm me in so many ways. It's like a double-edged sword, right? Because I don't have a problem with opening my mouth and meeting new people. Like sometimes I bring people into, I have in the past brought people into my circle who were just damaging to me in so many ways and very toxic, right? And so one of the things I had to learn through therapy and just the people that I am around, that it is okay to say no, and it is okay to separate myself, right? It is
Mhm.
okay to be by myself at times. It is okay to sit in the house and watch Netflix by myself. I don't have to be around a group of people. And that's one of the things that I value more than anything. The people that are currently in my life, I value them 100%. And kind of like Drake said, like, no new friends. Like, not that I don't want new friends. It's just that, like, I'm very selective right now about the people that I bring into my life, because I've put so much work into changing who I was, and I just don't have I don't have the luxury of bringing in toxic individuals, because toxic individuals will send me back to prison, or I will find myself in a coffin because I OD'd. So I don't have the luxury like normal people have the luxury of just having a friend and it go bad and then they go on their way. Because I'm still learning and growing, I just have to be very, very selective about the people that I bring into my life, and what I want out of them and what they want out of me.
Thank you. Robert, you're going to say something.
Sure. I think my mindset is definitely better now with like meeting new people, being in new circles. I've learned to accept it, and but at first it was very difficult. It was very difficult to meet new people, to because nothing is what I was used to. But like I said, like Free Minds, they invited me to like workshops and speaking engagements, and I I kind of embraced uh just meeting people and uh okay, what do you do for a living? Okay, I and just finding common ground, between people. So but it was very difficult because there's not a lot of talking in jail. Like I mean, you talk to who you think is a friend, and that's about it. There's like a no touch rule in jail. You just don't touch people. You will go, you and a guy will go all the way around each other walking down the hall. You know what I mean? You will not even try to bump each other. So it's different, coming home and just being open. But I think that now I enjoy it. I think now I enjoy it. I find myself just meeting people and just finding the best out of that person, whatever they have to offer. And if they don't have anything, or I just let it go past me.
Yeah. Let me just follow up a question. When you run into that person who you're talking to, when you're having a connection, and then you talk about your history, and like you see them like take a step back, how do you deal with that?
It's unfortunate. I still run into that because now I have learned to be very vocal about my past.
Mhm.
Being vocal about my past has helped me to conquer my present and future. So I love to, I, I'm a returning citizen. I may be in the carryout or, and if me and a person talk and I say, well, I just came home. I mean, I know it's not just 6 years ago, but I still feel like I'm learning a lot new each day. And if, I still run into people who don't want to talk anymore, or like, I just take it one day at a time and I don't there's nothing wrong with me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with me. Once I convince myself of that, you can feel how, however you want to feel. I'm sorry you feel that way. I will respect it. But I guess, I will go this way and you will go this way. Um, I do feel bad sometimes because dealing with my clients, and I'm an advocate for them. So I deal with sometimes like mental health providers. So I have to speak up sometimes for guys who are getting that treatment. But me personally, if I had to speak up, I would, but just in normal, I would let it go. But I do find that sometimes I have to, kind of sort of challenge a person, especially speaking for my clients, especially with these mental health providers that, you know, are not really getting it, are not really putting housing first, are putting guys on the back burner for counseling. This guy needs counseling today, now. He cannot wait till he just came home. Are you going to wait till he goes back in and comes back out? Come on, let's try to do, let's be proactive. But it's cool now. It's cool. I do take it, one day at a time, grain of salt,
Absolutely. So what I feel like we've been talking about this all throughout our session today, but we had a question about the specific mental health strategies that have helped y'all as you transition. So Camelia, is there anything you want to say about specifically like what has helped you just have the right mindset? Oh, unmute. Gotcha.
There you go. Well, for me, it's definitely therapy. And so I am dealing with a ton of traumas from my past, and then just dealing with everyday life and the stresses of everyday life. So therapy is very important to me, and that's one appointment that I never miss, that I can't reschedule for the most part. But having that relationship with my therapist and being able to talk to her, being able to express myself, and having therapy and mentors, having individuals to be able to say, this is how I feel today, like it doesn't feel good, it's uncomfortable to me. All of those things help every day with my mental health, because again, like I'm living a life that I have never lived before in my entire life, not ever in my existence. I'm paying my bills, I'm taking care of a child, like all of these things I have never done in my entire existence. I've been homeless, I've been an addict, I've prostituted. I've done like a ton of things that, you would think that someone in the system has done. I've probably been a part of it. So to actually pick myself up and place myself into a normalcy is very different for me. And sometimes it's very uncomfortable. And a lot of times I don't know how to deal with like these emotions. And so having an outlet, some way to talk, is so helpful, and it's so valuable to my mental health at the end of the day. If my mental health is not 100%, I can never be 100%, and I'll go backwards. But I wanted to say really quickly to the question that Mr. Davis was just talking about, that initial shock of people. Unfortunately for returning citizens, we're the one group where you don't really have people running for public offices on this platform. People don't stand on the platform of criminal justice. They don't stand on the platform of reentry. They don't. You very seldomly will hear a president stand up and say, "I think we need more reentry services. I think we need to advocate for returning citizens." People very rarely fight for us. The people that normally fight for us are the people like us that have come out of the situation and then decided to do advocacy work, right? And then we have a small group of people like you, Ms. Horton, Melissa, who may have not been in the situation, but you just feel a call to want to help. And so when people are shocked that I have been to prison or something like that. It's not, it at this point, it doesn't even bother me because that's a situation you have to deal with, not me, right? Like, obviously we have prisons. We continue to build them, so people have to be going to them. And if it's a shock to you, then I suggest you pick up the phone and call your therapist or whoever it is you talk to kind of work that out, because that's not my problem, it's yours. I'm here now, right? And I'm holding a conversation with you. So if you don't want to do business with me, if you don't want to have a conversation with me because I've been to prison, that's your loss, not mine. I think I'm a fantastic person. So if you miss out on knowing me, then I'm sorry for you. But there's nothing I can do about that.
Got it. Thank you. That was awesome. So we've got 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap this up with some action steps. Robert, same question. Do you want to talk to any specific mental health strategies that supported you, or any tools, mental health or otherwise, that specifically helped you in your transition?
I don't have a therapist under the normal like therapist, but I do have like, I think all of my supervisors were /therapists. I have had I have just been in so much good favor with I've had maybe 4 jobs, and each time I've had a job, me and the supervisor, they have actually just like become a parent. So like, I think that just being able to go to, because I think my employment is just so important. So I find myself going over my supervisor's house, calling my supervisor with help, you know what I mean? Or asking for help, not only about work, because they have been here, they are doing this, they are succeeding in doing this. And so not only my supervisors, like now I have a team that I work with, and my coworkers, they actually, are you okay? You need anything? So they make me feel like I can go to them with, so they are like my therapist. They keep me up. No lie. Like, I can go to the next office and say, hey, I'm feeling so down, you know, and they'll lock the door and say, don't leave. Tell me why. What's going on? You know, so I really enjoy like having people who I can talk to. I think that's the key. Positive people to talk to so that you can get positive feedback, because a lot of things are just in the moment. It's just how you're feeling. So if you can make it to a person who can get you out of that moment, I think, you know, you're fine. Try not to go to a person who will keep you in that moment, you know, like, or make you move backwards. So I think like therapy, or having a person who you can just really unload on, and that person be positive, is very essential. Awesome.
All right, man, I want to keep talking to y'all both so much. I'm going to ask one more question, and because we got to get to some other stuff, I have to ask for a short answer. I'm sorry. Robert and Camelia, and maybe let's go in that order. We had a question. What can people who are not, you know, professionals, who are not in the life, who are not, who don't have experience, life experience, what can they do to better support people who are coming home? So just like your average Betty or Joe on the street.
Please keep an open mind and don't prejudge. People go to jail for nothing these days. Absolutely nothing. People go to jail on accident. It could be you. You are one decision or accident away from trying to make bail. So let's not prejudge. Keep an open mind, because there are a lot of great people. There are a lot of great people who are homeless. There are a lot of great people who are abusers of drugs. There are a lot of great people. I mean, just don't put blinders on.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Camelia.
So when I was starting my internship at Deloitte, one of the questions the interviewer had asked me is if I had a meeting with Joe Biden right then and there in the White House, what would I say to him about returning citizens? And I said, the very first thing that I would say to him would be, we are human beings. And that's all I want. Like everybody has to understand that we are human beings who made a mistake. We did not know how to deal with whatever it was that got us to a downward spiral. And that downward spiral led to incarceration. Incarceration saved our lives because there are so many people who go through downward spirals and don't come out of it. They end up on the other side in a casket. And so incarceration, regardless of how much I hated it, it saved my life. And as I'm returning home, all I'm asking is for society to understand that it is more to it than me paying off court fines and getting a job, but I actually need a job. I need housing. There are wraparound services with an S that people need coming home, and it is a package. And everybody's package looks different, but it is a package. And as a society, we have to understand that having one of those things out of that package is not solving the problem. People need the complete package to succeed. And we have to be okay with opening our doors, giving people what they need to succeed out here. Otherwise, we will continue to build prisons and we will continue to incarcerate people at an alarming rate because we are not giving people what they need to succeed.
Awesome. Thank you. So we're probably going to go over by like 1 or 2 minutes. I apologize about that. So Melissa and Alicia, we'll go really quick. What are some ways that people can get involved in Negotiation Works? We'll go Melissa, then Alicia. How can people get involved?
Sure. And even just before going there, I just want to just say thank you so much to Camelia and to Robert for sharing your stories and your vulnerabilities and your determination and your courage. And I mean, if you can see the chat, you can see how much the group really appreciates all of that. And in terms of Negotiation Works, I mean, our services really complement all the hard work that returning citizens are doing to get, to make amends in their relationships with family and friends, to get a job, to get housing, all of that. And to the extent that any of you are interested in learning more about being involved in Negotiation Works, if you want to bring our programs to your communities, we provide multi-week courses. We provide professional development programs for program staff. We have a video program for communities that, for whatever reason, are not available to do in-person or Zoom classes. And if anyone's interested in learning about volunteer opportunities as an instructor or other roles, I will put my my email address, and it looks like it's already in there. I'll put my email address in the chat. And but really just want to say thank you all for participating today. It is really wonderful to see this level of interest in the hard work that Robert and Camelia have been doing.
Awesome. Thank you. Alicia, what about Thrive? How can people get involved with Thrive?
Real quick. First, I just want to thank Ms. Finley and Mr. Davis for their they're incredibly thoughtful and an open perspectives. Sharing your vulnerabilities and your hardships is hard to do, and I so appreciate you taking the time to share because it makes such a difference. To help us in this work, if you are not a member of the ACT campaign, join us. Help us educate. This is not for returning citizens. This is for the rest of the world, so that we can educate people on what is needed to help folks have a real, meaningful, substantive second chance. So join us in this work and sign on, join do what you did today, show up. And there'll be more to come. So thank you again for everything. Thank you to our panelists. You're incredible.
Awesome. That's all I was going to say too. Join on the initiative, join the ACT campaign. We're going to do more of these. We need a critical mass to make the change that Camelia was talking about, and to make sure that everyone who comes home has the support that they need and deserve. So we're over time, but I want to make sure we have 1 minute. Robert, Camelia, is there anything that you want to say before we go? You get the last word.
I just wanted to say thank you again for the opportunity. Like Ms. Horton said, this is not for us, but this is for the people on the other side. And if we never have opportunities like this to be vulnerable and to be open books, the people on the other side will never know it's not as easy and cut and dry as society portrays it to be, but it takes a village to get us to where we need to be at. So thank you. Thank you, village.
I just want to say thank you to everyone. And I want to second that it takes a village. That's it. It takes a village. And thank you, village.
All right, y'all. Thank you, everybody who showed up. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Camelia. Thank you, Melissa. Thanks, Alicia.
No problem.
You guys are wonderful.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.